Hi guys, it's Ashley Nicole with Passion, Purpose, and Paychecks. Today we have with us Natalie Williams of NatWillSpeak, and she is a full-time professional speaker, and we're going to talk to her a little bit about that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and to talk about what I love to do, which is speaking.
Of course, and we can't wait to hear about it because we have so many people that really want to go into professional speaking and would love to do it full-time and get paid. How did NatWillSpeak start?
NatWillSpeak started in the most authentic and organic way. I did not look for speaking. Speaking found me. And so I had a really great undergraduate experience at Central Michigan University, and I would always go back home to my old high school and talk to the students about how amazing college was. Okay. Fast forward to me going to graduate school at Illinois State University. I finished my master's, but right before I graduated, I did a master's thesis. It was 130 pages on my all-time favorite television show that I've loved since a little girl called A Different World. And fast forward to me being able to actually meet the cast as a surprise on the Steve Harvey show. That experience changed my life. Well, some of my old mentors at Central Michigan University wanted me to come back to CMU and speak at their freshman orientation program for multicultural students. And they said, incorporate your A Different World experience as well as your student leadership experience at CMU. Unbeknownst to me that I would be keynoting in front of 300 people. And so I keynoted in front of 300 people. I loved it. And I walked away feeling so refreshed and feeling as if I had just had this magical experience. And in that moment, I realized that I'm not just good at speaking, but it's a part of my purpose and it's a part of my calling. And at that moment, I knew that I was called to speak and that I had to continue doing it. And so I had to sit down and really look at the business and understand what does it take to be this full-time, world-renowned speaker.
I'm sure a lot of people are hearing this story and they're like, oh, that's great. I speak at high schools. I go back to my alma mater and speak. Does that mean I can be a professional speaker? And I would just love for you to talk a little bit about the difference between speaking for fun and then the business of speaking. How did you know you were interested in the business of speaking?
In the business of speaking, the people, being able to touch lives showed me that I was legitimately in it for the right reason. Yes, there's a paycheck that's attached to it. There are some opportunities where you may not get this huge paycheck, but you're really able to make a huge impact. That showed me that I was interested in the business of it. And then when I would just research the industry, like I literally sat down and did a ton of R&D, research and development. So I looked at the industry to see who are the decision makers in the industry, who are some of the top speakers, especially the speakers that may look like me and that may be now my competitors. So being able to understand that and how much should you charge for these speaking engagements and what are the type of crowds that I would speak to? What are my areas of expertise? Okay, I need a photo shoot because I need new headshots or I need headshots. So really looking at what I needed in order to be successful showed me the business aspect of it as an entrepreneur.
So walk me through the process. Let's say that someone wants to start speaking. They sit down, they feel like, okay, I'm gonna get my LLC.
Yeah.
What should they do first?
Great question. I would say research the industry. Know what you're getting yourself into. Know what the overhead costs will be because you will
And what are some of the overhead costs?
Oh, absolutely. Can't forget those. One of them, you need a website. People in this day and age, with everything being at the click of a phone button on the internet, you need to have a website to have that internet presence. And so when you look at people's websites that are speaking, you'll notice that they have some professional pictures. Ding, ding, ding. That means you need headshots as well.
Yeah.
You need those professional headshots because schools will say, we want you to come and speak and we're going to put your face on a poster. You don't want to send them the picture that your friend just took, on the iPhone at the party. That's not what you want.
Right.
So you need the website, the professional pictures, and you need a bio. Because if someone's interested in having you speak, they're going to want to know more about you as a person. What's your background like? Do you level up with our students? Do you match with our students? Can they relate to you because of where you're from or what your areas of interest are for speaking? After the bio, I would say you need to know, of course, what your areas of speaking will be as well. And then what are people saying about you? So you need to have those testimonials as well. So those are just a couple of things I would say speakers should definitely look into acquiring before they really get the ground running with the speaking.
What if there's someone who's interested in speaking on 20 different topics? One of the issues that a lot of us face and that a lot of, I think, my colleagues would face is that we're interested in so many things. And so when it comes to what you're an expert on, how were you able to narrow it down to student leadership?
because of my experience. And so you don't want to pick topics that you have just a smidget of experience with and nothing else. I knew that based off of my own undergraduate experience that I learned a ton about student leadership. As a Black woman on my campus, as a member of a Black Greek letter organization, so Greek leadership, being able to work across different cultural lines on my university's campus taught me those variety of aspects. So I literally sat down and had this brainstorming session with myself to say, what are some areas that you can say that you're an expert on, that you've learned a lot about? So I would say figure it out, because you don't want to have 20 different things, because then people will look at you and say,
we're not buying it.
Do you really know all of these things? And so you really have to be honest with yourself. And it's okay for you to start out with a couple of topics, and as you grow and as you live and you have these experiences, you'll definitely begin to expand. And that's what I'm doing. I'm currently expanding some of the topics that I talk about. And so though most of my market includes the collegiate market, I've also started entering in the corporate market and doing corporate speaking engagements as well. But that comes from me having had a corporate experience and being able to now talk to people about how to kind of navigate some of those experiences, and even throw in the public speaking piece as well.
That's phenomenal.
Thank you.
So after you have your website and your headshots and some testimonials about something that you've spoken about in the past or something that you're an expert on, how do you start getting the business? Because I kind of feel like that would almost be one of the most difficult pieces, is figuring out, after you know who you want your clients to be it corporations or universities, I would imagine the difficult piece is the pitch. So how do you make the pitch?
Absolutely. So with the pitch, you have to look at what are those decision makers looking for. They're going to ask you not only who are you and your background, but what are you going to talk about, and what do you think that my audience members will be able to take away from it. So learning outcomes, plain and simple. What is it that you want your audience members to get? And so with the pitch, you want to find some nearby opportunities for you to speak at. So if it's a conference for student leaders that's right up the street from your house, you can actually reach out to that conference coordinator and say, hey, this is who I am, this is my business, and I am interested in speaking, and I would love to present a workshop at your conference. And so that's an opportunity. And if you're not paid for that experience, you're still getting the experience, you're getting out there, you're able to refine your message. You now are able to give your own self some constructive criticism and feedback and say, okay, I did good on this presentation, but I want to change this. And so you're able to work on your business without having to put out so much money to get it going.
That makes sense. Now, I've heard other speaking professionals say never do a speaking engagement for free. What's your thought process on that?
I would say you definitely will start out doing some things for free, right? You're not going to wake up one morning and say, you know what? I'm going to be a professional speaker. And then someone's going to magically ring your phone and say, I have a $10,000 check for you to start speaking. It's not going to happen that way. You have to build up your resume as a speaker. You have to have those credentials. And so a lot of opportunities will be unpaid. And that's okay. But you also have to have a plan in place, because you want to make that transition.
And you want to get something out of it. Because I've done things pro bono or free, but I've always gotten something out of it, be it testimonials, be it I'm in the room in front of people that I've just wanted to meet. So I think I agree with you. I don't agree with the mindset of not doing anything for free, but I do think that if it's going to be done for free, make sure that you get something out of the experience. You shouldn't, free doesn't mean nothing, right? So you may do it for free, but don't walk away with nothing.
Absolutely. So are you going to get the networking opportunities? Are there going to be videos there? Because on your website, somewhere on your social media, you want to see, or the decision makers want to see videos of you speaking. Can you engage the audience? You want to get those video testimonials as well. And so though it may not necessarily be a paycheck attached to it, maybe you're able to get photos because the university brought their official photographer in for the event. And one thing that I learned with the collegiate market, everybody knows everybody. So this person may not have paid you, but they can refer you for a paid engagement. So yes, starting out, you will do multiple free engagements, but you're able to get a lot out of it that may not necessarily have a monetary price tag attached to it.
After you pivoted from doing the free engagements and you've built up your reputation, your website, and your book of business, how did you set your price?
Yeah. So one of the things that I did was I went to a speakers boot camp. A speakers boot camp that was put on by Rashid Ali Cromwell, who is all things student leadership. He's all things Black Greek student leadership as well, and he taught us about that. He taught us about the pricing and how do you decide how much your time is worth, and then also how do you look at what are some of the current prices for the market, because you don't want to come in saying, I need $10,000 to speak for 45 minutes when the going average price of someone that may be similar is maybe $5,500.
Yeah.
So you want to be realistic with the pricing, and that was something that I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to learn about, and then also seeing the
So you recommend that conference?
I wholeheartedly recommend that conference.
Okay, this is not paid. Sure. I don't even know the person who put on this conference. I just want to say that because so often you hear testimonials and people think, she got paid for it. Well, no. I didn't get a check. I've never met this gentleman. He sounds like a great person. Happy to meet him. But, I just want you all to know out there, I'm not doing this to promote the conference, but truly to help you all get your start. So I'm glad to hear that, because it is challenging in a world where everyone's a brand specialist to figure out, and an influencer to find out, who really has the information that can help propel you to the next level. So that's great. What's the name of the conference again?
The Speakers Bootcamp.
Speakers Bootcamp. Okay.
Speakersbootcamp.org, but you can Google it by Rashid Ali Cromwell. He hosts a multicultural Greek student leadership conference annually. And he also does like some drive-in conferences, some spot dates throughout the year. And then he also travels to speak. He's a lawyer by trade. Hey. So it's funny that you and I had the opportunity to connect. Yeah. You remind me a lot of him. He's a lawyer by trade, but he rocks it out, and he's just been such a huge help with just showing me how to navigate some of the business aspect of it. I always say he's the Jay-Z to my J. Cole. Nice. So he's been a huge mentor, sometimes just by dropping a gem and saying one word, and I'm like, okay, I can take that one word and run with it, and then say, hey, here's some things that I've done on my own, and so I don't necessarily need to ride his coattail, but I'm able to get the car going on my own, and then come back to him and say, okay, these are some steps that I've taken. These are some things that I've done, and he can give me some advice, and he can also say, Nat, you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
See, I like what you said. You said he can drop something, you take it and run with it.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't know this for a fact, but I hear a lot of people that may want to be speakers because they think it's easy.
No.
Can you talk a little bit about the challenges you've had in this industry, breaking in and then sustaining yourself off of it?
Absolutely. Making that pivot from just hosting workshops to keynoting. That's something that you want to understand, that there are different types of speaking engagements. It's totally different from doing a 60-minute workshop and doing a 20-minute keynote, right? Yeah. So with the workshop, you can have the audience members do small group and large group, and you can have a PowerPoint behind you. But what happens when you have to keynote a multicultural graduation?
You on the stage in the center,
just
impress everyone.
Absolutely. So you have to be able to switch the gears and to know the difference in how you will present. Or what happens if you have to give a presentation, but the audio isn't working with the presentation, or if your presentation won't even come up.
Some people have a fear of public speaking. It's something that, I love public speaking, obviously, but I've done it since I was very, very young.
Okay.
And I did the keynote address at my graduation from the University of Illinois, the multicultural graduation. And I love it. I get a huge adrenaline rush from speaking. And even in jury trials with 12 people looking at you like you're crazy, I love it. I'm like, I'm going to turn these people on my side. So I'm into that. But have you ever had a speech that either went wrong, or have you ever had nerves that you had to really work to overcome? Can you talk a little bit about that? Maybe give us your worst speaking experience. Because you've had a lot of great ones.
To be honest, and maybe I need to knock on wood, but I haven't had anything where I'm like, oh my gosh, it was horrible.
Good.
But I am hard on myself.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, oh, I should have said this, or I should have done that.
Right.
But the one way that I'm able to know if I rocked it out or not, especially if I'm keynoting and there is an opportunity for me to interact with the audience, is the Q&A time.
Yes.
I always love to provide Q&A time. And so when I'm speaking, it's really hard for you to gauge how you're doing, because you can only see the audience. You can't see yourself.
Yeah.
And so I am able to watch during the Q&A time when someone brings up something that I said, and then they put this really intellectual question with it. I'm like, you got it.
Yeah.
And so for me, I do get nervous still.
Yeah.
No matter how many speaking
for
engagements
sure.
I've done, I still literally get the same butterflies in my stomach.
I
and
won't start. Like, I will not start speaking until those nerves go away. I stood in front of my last jury for probably what felt like a whole minute in silence until I was ready and comfortable, because it's really hard, because you could speak too fast or too slow, and so
Yeah.
everyone gets those, though, in the
But
beginning.
they go away immediately when I open my mouth to speak. And those nerves, those butterflies, that's just my passion shown.
Yeah.
That's just my passion. And I laugh to myself every time, because I'm like, Nat, you were built for this. And I literally look in the mirror and I tell myself that you were built for this. Now go out and do it. And that it keeps me humble too. Those jitters keep you humble, because now you know that, okay, I'm a little nervous. Oh my gosh. And every time I'm like, why did I agree to do this? And then I stand up, I open my mouth, and it's like somebody else has stepped in my body and they're speaking. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I doing this? And when you know, you kind of like rocking it, you're like, oh man, I said that? Okay, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
It's
So,
like, this feels good. This is fun. That's great.
Yeah.
So what's one piece of advice you wish you'd received prior to starting your public speaking journey?
That's a great question. I wish I would have known that the people that I looked up to would soon become my peers.
Ooh, come on. Say that again.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
No,
Give me some
seriously,
on that.
I'm so serious. The people that I looked
Wow.
up to. So when I did the research and development, there were about 5 speakers that I looked up to, and just based off of research. And you will not believe that last year I spoke at the National Conference on Student Leadership, and I spoke alongside those exact same 5 people.
Wow.
Gave me chills, and to have come full circle like that in such a short amount of time.
And how long was that, a year?
About a year and some change after I really accepted speaking as part of my purpose and calling. But yeah, I spoke alongside those exact same people, and now they're my peers, and I have their contact information, and we can reach out to each other and kind of bounce ideas off, or give advice, or share a funny speaking story, because we know that we'll get that corny joke. And that, it blows my mind. I went from admiring some of these people to now being their peer on the speaking circuit. And I don't take it for granted for 1 second.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe, and I know in my heart, that speaking is a ministry for me. So me to be able to hold people in my hands, I don't take that lightly for 1 second.
Well, that's wonderful. I love
you.
that. I
Thank
wish
you.
I would have known that those that I looked up to would soon become my peers. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let our viewers know how they can stay in touch with you.
Absolutely. They can stay in touch with me on Instagram at NatWillSpeak, on Twitter at NatWillSpeak, Facebook on NatWillSpeak. I would love to engage with your audience, and if they have goals, I would love to be able to hear what their goals are, and let them know that they can reach it. I started out as just someone that understood that I had a valuable story to share, and that I had no idea that overcoming those different parts in life and acquiring different parts to my story would allow me to help change the lives of others.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Passion, Purpose, and Paychecks. We were so happy to speak with Natalie Williams about her experience. If you'd like to stay in touch with her or have questions, follow her on Instagram at NatWillSpeak. That's NatWillSpeak. Until next time.